Welcome into the latest episode of Betting the Pitch, the European Soccer Edition. Today we're going over tonight, late night with the real underscore G Warner. We're going through the Europa League, January 23rd. We had a couple matches already played this week. I do believe it's because there's a bunch of Istanbul sides and they have rules they can't all play on the same day. Seems bizarre, but I guess it is what it is. And you deal with the rules in Turkey when you need to deal with the real rules in Turkey. I'm gonna post this right now so everyone knows we're live. Try to potentially get some of you never sleepers or insomniacs that want to get in here and discuss some Europa League. I don't know that the permutations are that valuable because there's so many teams with so much to play for and so many points as we saw in Champions League. Very curious to see what happens match day 8 and how that's all balanced because they are very cautious of not having a pass between the two teams like we saw with Germany and Austria in the Euro, I think, a bunch of years ago. And that's what they made simultaneous kickoffs for. It'd be wild to have 18 matches simultaneously played, both on, I guess, Champions League on Tuesday or Wednesday, and then on Thursday for Europa League. But we'll see. Looking forward to that. We're 24-8 in our best bets so far. I'm still behind on grading a few of the most recent best bets, but getting there. And the Champions League matches that I've watched so far, which is not many, fortunately don't impact the Europa League podcast, but I've been winning everything I've seen so far. So I'm sure that won't last forever, but going to try to keep the hot streak going. So thanks for tuning in, and let's find some winners. We're going to start in the early window. My ultimate best bet on this episode will come end of show. If you're not following on Instagram, do so at the real underscore G Warner or on YouTube at the real underscore G Warner. If you want the 1 minute condensed version of what should be probably 30 minutes or so going through, I guess, should be 16 matches. Some I will certainly have more thoughts on than others, but trying to give everything in this competition, which I think there is money to be made here, trying to give everything its due. Other than that, I think if I could find where the heck my lines went, then we'll be in great shape to get this going. And as I continue to look, here we are. So we'll start in the early window, 11:45 Central Time here in Dallas, Texas. It's 12:45 Eastern Time. We'll start with AZ Alkmaar of the Dutch Eredivisie in Holland or in the Netherlands. They are hosting Roma. Currently, AZ a quarter goal underdog at home with juice split both ways. Total is 2 and 3/4, juice all the way to under. So let me restate what I'm going to do for ultimate best bet. I'm going to pick one favorite game from the earlies, one favorite game from the lates, and then you can grade what I choose as my best bet, which will come in that 1 minute format at the real underscore G Warner on Instagram or on YouTube. Of course, you can get full podcasts on YouTube at the real underscore G Warner as well. But if you want the full episodes on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify, search Betting the Pitch and go leave a 5-star review with a comment while you're at it. In this matchup, so AZ Alkmaar quarter goal underdog at home, total is 2 and 3/4, juice all the way to under. Roma have been scoring a little bit more lately, but I just still don't really believe in a Claudio Ranieri, who's a famous Roma player, apparently went into retirement, would only come back for Roma or I think Genoa or maybe Cagliari, wherever he just was. But Roma was one of those clubs. They just, to me, are starting too many defenders. The Mats Hummels is always a scary thing because he runs like he has a piano in his pants. But I just don't really believe in Roma. Yes, they scored a bunch this weekend. On Friday, they had a very early match considering a Thursday Europa League, but I guess that happens sometimes. And they were able to score goals and puncture through a Genoa defense that has been really great for years. But or excuse me, not for years, ever since they hired their second manager of the season, Patrick Vieira, which I don't know if anyone expected that, but here it goes. It's happened. The problem is Roma go on the road and they're a favorite. So I think automatically, just based on how poor they've been in Europa League, certainly wasn't at AZ Alkmaar this whole time, but I leaned to the home underdog and also under 2 and 3/4 goals. It's very juicy at the moment, probably falls to 2.5 before kickoff, at least the way the lines are suggesting. But at this point, I think fading Roma is it's really where I want to be. Thanks those of you that have joined live, I have opened the comments. So if you have something you want to throw in here, I'm happy to go even further on the game or go through it if you've heard enough. I do want to give every game its due. And this is an example with Bodo Glimt, a 1-goal favorite to Maccabi Tel Aviv. Total is 3, just a little bit more to under. Bodo Glimt have been good in European competitions over the past few seasons. They've got Jans Peter Hauge, who had, I think, made a permanent move back from Eintracht Frankfurt in the German Bundesliga back to Bodo Glimt. And they celebrated that, or I guess wished him well from the Eintracht Frankfurt Twitter account when I was searching to see what the heck was happening with Omar Marmoush last weekend. Um, but they're a big favorite, but that's probably because Maccabi Tel Aviv haven't had a single home game because no Euro matches are being played at Israel, which probably makes sense because it's not the right continent, but that's a whole other debate. But really, Maccabi Tel Aviv have been pretty bad. And unfortunately, I don't think there's much I want to do here. Maybe play under 3 if you're really looking for something, but I think there's better choices on the board. I'll move next to Fenerbahce hosting Lyon as I wear my Lyon practice kit or whatever the heck I bought in 2019 when I was stumbling around and stumbled into a Lyon, uh, I guess, team shop or whatever they call it in French. Couldn't think of that fast enough. Fenerbahce currently a quarter goal favorite right now to Lyon with more juice. Total is 3, juice pretty heavily to over. Lyon coming off a goalless draw in Ligue 1, which is a surprise. Don't think something I was expecting or anybody else was either. Um, They've been struggling with a lot of rumors about the club being forced into Ligue 2 based on financial miscalculations and financial losses. And they need to win. They need to win in the league. They need to win in the Europa League, which is what we're talking about here. And they got bounced out of the French Coupe, the Coupe de France, from a lower division side, lost in penalties. So things are not great in Lyon. I'm still interested, however, in the quarter goal underdog. It is a very tough place to play going into Turkey, into Istanbul. And I guess the only game in town, considering the other matches have to be played on other days. You would have thought UEFA would have been a little bit smarter about scheduling that, but c'est la vie. I think under 3 is also some interest to me, just based on a Lyon side that want to score goals and want to attack, but haven't been that efficient with it. The push on 3 is important, essential, you could even say, in soccer. So I'll put those both on my list for that second, or I guess third game we've covered. Move next to Malmo hosting FC Twente, Malmo of Norway, I believe, and Twente from the Dutch Eredivisie as well. Pick 'em here. Juice to split both ways. Totals 2 3/4. Juice more to the over. I've been pretty unimpressed by Twente's interest in scoring goals. I think my biggest interest here is under 2 3/4 goals. Malmo are a smaller fish, but they've been all around the Europa leagues and conference leagues and such, representing Sweden, I believe. I'm not really a believer in Twente's offense, so I feel like there's some interest for me also if Malmo move to an underdog, but we don't have that yet. So I'll just stick with I guess I don't know which one to put down because I usually go with the underdog. And if I'm feeling the total, I'll go, since they're away, I'll go Twente under 2 3/4 goals. Moving next to Karabakh hosting FCSB, I believe, of Bucharest in Romania, Karabakh of Azerbaijan. Karabakh, a quarter goal favorite right now. Juice is split both ways. Totals 2.5. Juice pretty heavily to over. I don't have much to say about this matchup. Both these teams are far beyond my purview, so it probably makes sense to move on to the next one. So now we'll go down to a much bigger matchup. FC Porto hosting Olympiacos. Porto of Portugal, Olympiacos of Piraeus in Greece, in a part of Athens. Porto currently 3/4 goal favorites with all the juice. Totals 2.5. Juice more to the over. Porto have great history, actually mainly in Champions League, most recently in recent history. But they've struggled to maintain their manager. Conceição had left Porto before the season, then joined Milan mid-year. Olympiacos on their side, as far as I know, they're still employing Jose Luis Mendilibar. Let's see if I'm right on that. It looks like he's still there. He's done great in Europa League, winning a title with Sevilla and the corpse of Sevilla that's really struggling to even stay in La Liga in Spain. You could argue he kind of came in mid-season and got a little bit fortunate, but oh well. I think my biggest interest here is Olympiacos. I would love to see them move to that full goal of insurance, and it's probably something I'll wait for. Porto have not been the defensive side that we normally see from Portuguese sides. So I think I'm really looking to be against that defense in some form or fashion. It makes me not really want to play under 2.5, especially with a high line that Jose Luis Mendilibar has played across Spain and really in Athens as well throughout his tenure. Moving next to Victoria Plzen hosting Anderlecht. Currently, Victoria Plzen a quarter goal favorite at home with all the juice. Totals 2.5, juice all the way to over. I've been all over Victoria Plzen based on how well they performed in the Conference League. Were very dominant last season. Certainly a big step up to Europa League, but our favorite at home, as they should be. Have been a great defense. They've got some good pelts on their wall from playing well in this competition. Anderlecht, a Belgian side that has a fair amount of big names that I've seen throughout Europe, have been really struggling to keep the ball out of the back of their net, but also have been scoring really well. I keep waiting for that to return to kind of the mean, but we haven't seen that yet. I think my biggest interest here is under 2.5, though I feel like Anderlecht's defense and offense, frankly, have made it pretty tough for me to play that one. Last but not least, two big name clubs, TSG Hoffenheim of the German Bundesliga. They are hosting the Tottenham Hotspur football club. Currently, Hoffenheim a quarter goal underdog at home. A lot of Hoff, a lot of Tots in this one. But Hoffenheim quarter goal underdog with all the juice at home. Totals 3.25, juice more to the under. I don't know who's playing under in these situations. Hoffenheim went from no defense, horrible away, to now just being bad, I think, everywhere. I'm interested though in fading Tottenham because the defense they play is just it doesn't make sense in the Premier League. I don't think it makes sense in any league, and on Postecoglou is not changing. So I don't have a lot of faith in Hoffenheim at this point. I'm really just trying to play against them as much as possible in the German Bundesliga. But I'll lean to the under quarter of a goal, and will probably stay far away from the total. So for a best bet from the early window to then push against the late window as a potential best bet and the ultimate best bet on this January 23rd podcast, I'm going to go with AZ Alkmaar and Roma under 2.75 goals. Make sure I didn't just click the wrong button. I think we're still good here. Anyone with any comments that's in here live, feel free to do so. And I see my eyes are basically shut, so it's probably time for me to get going on this bad boy. We'll move next to Eintracht Frankfurt and Ferencváros. Before we get there, if you're not a follower or subscriber to my Patreon, patreon.com/real_G best spot to get all my plays, leans, write-ups across all sports, including a incredibly stressful Colorado State 17-point lead that came down to a late 3-point shot tonight. Thankfully, that one worked its way through, but you would have gotten in last night with Colorado State, and I guess would have known you had that bet all day and then watched it melt down only to win late. Plenty of that drama, of course, with a lot of soccer stuff, NFL stuff. Already put podcasts out there on this Betting the Pitch podcast network with A_Schnicker. We're 3-1 in the playoffs on our best bets, 2-0 last week. So you might want to check in, especially as lines are moving as we get toward the big Sunday showdowns. But so moving now to that 2 o'clock Central Time, 3 p.m. Eastern Time window. Eintracht Frankfurt, a 1-goal favorite at home to Ferencváros. Frankfurt of Germany, Ferencváros of Budapest in Hungary. Total is 3, juice all the way to over. Ferencváros are an under team. They're going to play very defensively. And while the German Bundesliga market overreacted to the loss of Omar Marmoush and made Borussia Dortmund a favorite on the road at Eintracht Frankfurt, no. That was an easy winner. Thank you for all those. And if you were on my Patreon, patreon.com/real_G Warner, you would have gotten that play. But I'm interested to see how Eintracht Frankfurt react and how they do offensively without Marmoush, because Hugo Ekitike still seems pretty raw. Tons of talent. Came over from Paris Saint-Germain. But at this point, Ferencváros, we know they're going to play defense. We know they're going to try to batten down the hatches from point one, even falling behind. So I lean to under 3 in that matchup I guess in the second window of the Europa League on this Thursday, January 23rd podcast. Move next to Elfsborg. They're hosting Nice. Currently, Elfsborg a quarter goal underdog at home with all the juice. Totals 2.75. Juice all the way to over. Elfsborg somehow, I think, stunned Roma earlier in the campaign in the Europa League. But this is another tough test coming in with Nice, who've been playing better, have been scoring a lot of goals, which was not something I had a read on for Nice coming into the year, hiring a really defensive manager, and were very defensive before him. But maybe that's young talent pushing through. I don't really have much faith in Elfsborg. Leaning to under 3, but we don't have that yet. Rigas Futbola Scola, I believe from Latvia. They are hosting Ajax. Currently, Rigas RFS for short. They're 1.5 goal underdogs at home with all the juice. Total is 3, just more to the under. Only way I'd want to look in this one is the RFS under 3, just because Ajax to me are an under team that have been scoring tons of goals in past years, but really because of they had a bad defense and really weren't scoring enough or had to get in those high scoring matches. Clearly, they're a big favorite here, and that does make things a little bit nerve-wracking. But under 3, I think, is the best case because you might push if Ajax do win 3-0. Moving next to a big matchup of Lazio and Real Sociedad. Lazio of Italy in Rome, Real Sociedad of San Sebastian in the La Liga in Spain. We have Lazio quarter goal favorite at home. All the juice on Real Sociedad totals 2.25, just all the way to under. Now, Lazio have been a gold mine for a lot of this competition, but this is a really tough match for them, and they haven't really been playing as well lately. I think getting all the hype and playing very well, and then running into Inter Milan and losing 6-0 in your own building. That didn't go great. Then losing to Roma in the Derby de Capitale in Rome, not great. My interest here is to Real Sociedad getting a quarter of a goal, and I guess I lean to under 2.25 just because Real Sociedad are a possession team that want the ball and want to keep it away from you. I think Lazio are going to struggle in that type of situation to score goals. I think that's more interesting in Real Sociedad as a quarter goal underdog than it is to the under, because both of these teams are plenty talented and have plenty of firepower. But I've also noticed that sometimes the best clubs and the best teams, when they play against each other, they kind of cancel each other out. So lean to the road underdog and to under in that matchup as well. Moving next to Ludogorets hosting Michelin. Currently, Ludogorets a pick'em in Bulgaria with all the juice right now to Michelin, I believe, in Denmark. Totals 2.5. Juice pretty heavily to under as we speak, or as I speak, because I'm by myself tonight. Anyone that wants to do a soccer pod, let me know if you ever want to show up and do a Zoom and make it pretty easy. But Michelin, I think under 2.5, some biggest interest just because the Ludogorets are not a favorite that I really ever expect to score goals. They are so defensive, really struggled to hold on to a lead at home against Athletic Club Bilbao. That I don't know why that match sticks out of my mind besides the bad beat nature of it, or just 2 goals from Athletic Club from trailing in the same minute, it felt like. I think at this point, Ludogorets are one of those Ferencváros types that just really aren't much of an offense, and I think it's going to be really hard to find 3 goals. So I'll lean to Michelin under 2.5 goals right now, and would like to see them move to an underdog as well. Moving next to Manchester United hosting Rangers, claiming United a 1.25 goal favorite at home with more juice. Total is 3, juice pretty heavily to under. This under is actually gotten a little bit cheaper, though it's minus 116 currently at BetOnline. If you're not a BetOnline subscriber, customer, make a first time deposit. There's links in the podcast description, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and on YouTube, and you get some free money to go blow at a casino. And if it goes well, great, you made it with their cash. Rangers is my interest here. Just really want to be against Manchester United as much as I can, and under 3 is even more valuable to me. I just think because that push on 3 is essential, and Manchester United, I don't trust their offense at Old Trafford. They're probably a better position to score, especially against a team from Glasgow and Scotland. But at this point, Manchester United, to me, I'm trying to fade them as much as possible, especially as a big favorite. Doesn't matter if it's a weaker competition in the Premier League. 2 matches ago, we'll get an ultimate best bet and get us out of here and try to get some sleep before 1 a.m. local time. We'll doubt that's going to happen, but we'll see. Union Saint-Gilloise, half a goal favorite to Sporting Braga. Union Saint-Gilloise from Belgium, Sporting Braga from Portugal. Totals 2.75, juice almost all the way to over here. Very juice Sporting Braga at the moment. I'm kind of surprised Union Saint-Gilloise are favored to this level. They certainly play better at home, but I don't really see them as a favorite to a Portuguese side, though Braga have been pretty disappointing so far this season. I lean to Braga getting at half of a goal. Union Saint-Gilloise are an offensive team, but they've had a lot of player sales, and their manager left for St. Pauli in Germany. Not really sure what to make of them just yet, which is sad because it's 7 match days in. Last but not least, we have PAOK of Thessaloniki in Greece. They're hosting Slavia Prague from Prague in Czech Republic, or Czechia as it's called now. Slavia Prague are a pick'em, but with almost all the juice. Totals 2.5. Juice is actually split both ways in this matchup. I see Slavia Prague as a defensive team that go away from home. Really want to back them as an underdog, but we don't have that here. Probably will look to do that in the knockouts if they get there. I think biggest interest for me on this one is the PAOK under 2.5 goals, and I use PAOK as well on my list because they're the underdog here. As for a best bet, that's what you stayed for, 24-8 year to date. about to record that, but make sure if you want some NFL stuff, go to Betting the Pitch on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. Leave a 5-star review and hear our conference championships edition with A_Snicker recorded tonight, Wednesday, the 22nd of January. And then, of course, there will be more soccer stuff coming out for this weekend, plus college basketball, everything you could look for. The college basketball actually was picked up by pregame. So go check that out. Betting the Pitch has turned into a pregame.com college basketball show, The Need for Seeds. We have 2 episodes a week, recording Friday nights for the Saturday card. Plus, we'll be trying to do some midweek action as well to kind of spread the love to the other days, not just Saturday. But go check that out. You can follow me on Twitter at @the_real_G_Warner, and I'll be retweeting or tweeting out those episodes. Other than that, I think if you could check out my Patreon, patreon.com/real_G_Warner, best spot for all my plays, leans right across all sports. And then other than that, stick to it. Let me know if you got any questions, and I'll open up the comments. And if anything is there, or you got anything on your mind, feel free to shoot it out. Only 20 minutes. So this is brief, but I think for the best, with the best intentions in mind. So for the ultimate best bet in this episode, gotta get my recording device ready, and then we'll get into it. Okay, I think we're here. Try to get the. I don't know. I feel like I'm kind of off center, but anyway, time to do it. Let's get into it. Hey, this is real_G Warner on Instagram, Patreon, Twitter, and on YouTube. This is the ultimate best bet portion of the Europa League broadcast. We're 24-8 so far, year to date, 75%. I pick my favorite best bet from each of the windows of the Europa League, and then we mash them all together, pick one, and that's what you grade me on for this episode. For this January 23rd episode, the early window, I like AZ Alkmaar under 2 3/4 goals at home against Roma. In the late window, I like Manchester United under 3 goals at home to Rangers FC. But if you're looking for all my plays across all sports, check me out, patreon.com/real_G_Warner. Get everything you want, college basketball, football, various types, American, European, all that sort of stuff. Go check it out. But for the ultimate best bet, 24-8 year to date, we're going to go with Manchester United under 3 goals. I'm just going to bet Manchester United will not score goals for as long as I can until the lines adjust. And I think that big name, they just won't let it happen. And that'll do it for this episode. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you all on the Friday episodes of the Need for Seeds College Basketball Podcast, hosted by pregame.com, plus the Betting the Pitch podcast over the all the European soccer leagues, recorded Friday as well. Hope everyone has a great night, including myself, and I'll talk to y'all soon.